Today's story starts at a Thanksgiving dinner when a smug mother-in-law leans in and says, "Don't expect loyalty from my daughter. It runs in the family." Instead of arguing, the husband listens. He hires a private investigator, finds proof of an ongoing affair, locks down his finances, and serves divorce papers before his wife and her mother can touch his business or assets. And the best part, he thanks his mother-in-law afterward for the head start. Let's get into it. I, 36 male, have been married for 7 years, together for 9 total. And until 3 months ago, I thought I had a solid marriage. Not perfect, nobody's is, but stable, comfortable, safe. Then my mother-in-law opened her mouth at Thanksgiving dinner. Some context. Mile has never liked me. From day one, she made it clear I wasn't good enough for her daughter. Too blue collar. I'm a general contractor who built my own company from nothing. Too simple. I don't have a fancy degree. Too boring. I'd rather be home than at some cocktail party. For 9 years, I've smiled through her passive-aggressive comments. The little digs about my truck being too loud in her driveway. The concerned questions about whether I could really provide for her daughter long-term. The way she'd look at my callous hands like they were covered in something contagious. My wife always said to ignore her. That's just how she is. Classic enabler behavior, but I let it slide because I loved my wife, or thought I did. So, Thanksgiving, we're at my in-laws' house. My Phil is half asleep in front of the football game. My wife and her sister are in the kitchen helping, scrolling their phones while the caterer finished up. I'm sitting in the living room nursing a beer, counting down until I could politely leave. Mill sits down across from me. That smirk on her face, you know the one, like she's got a secret and she's dying to let it slip. "You know," she said, swirling her wine, "I've always wondered why my daughter settled for you. Here we go. Nice to see you, too." "Oh, don't be sensitive. I'm just saying she could have had anyone. She almost did, you know, before you came along." And well, she waved her hand dismissively. I took a long sip of my beer. "Is there a point to this?" She leaned forward slightly. "I'm just saying, don't expect loyalty from my daughter. It runs in the family." She laughed like she'd told a joke. My mother wasn't loyal. I wasn't loyal. And my daughter. She shrugged. The apple doesn't fall far. I stared at her. She stared back, still smirking. "Excuse me." "Oh, relax. I'm not saying anything's happening. I'm just saying if it ever did, you shouldn't be surprised. That's all. We're passionate women. We need excitement." She got up and walked away, leaving me sitting there like I'd been slapped. Now, most guys would probably shake this off. Crazy Mill being crazy. But something about the way she said it, the smugness, the specificity stuck with me. This wasn't a random dig. This felt like she was telling me something. I watched my wife for the rest of the evening. Nothing obvious. She was her usual self, charming, attentive, laughing at her dad's bad jokes. But I couldn't shake what her mother said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it. Don't expect loyalty. It runs in the family. If it ever did, you shouldn't be surprised. Was she warning me, taunting me, testing me? The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. While my wife was in the shower, I checked her phone. Nothing obvious, but I noticed she'd been deleting text threads. Her message history was suspiciously clean. No conversations older than a few days. She's not the type to delete messages. She's a digital hoarder who still has emails from 2015. I put the phone back, said nothing, but my gut was screaming. Monday morning, I made some calls. Found a pie through a buddy who'd used one during his divorce. Retired law enforcement. Very discreet, very thorough. Cost me $2,500 up front for 2 weeks of surveillance. I also called a divorce attorney. Not to file, not yet, but to understand my options. Turns out in my state, adultery doesn't directly affect asset division, but it can affect alimony, and more importantly, if I could prove she was planning to leave anyway, it would undermine any claim she might make to my business, which I'd started before we met. 2 weeks of waiting, 2 weeks of acting normal, hardest 2 weeks of my life. The Pi sent his first report on day 4. My wife had been leaving work early 3 times a week. She told me she had a new project that required late hours. She was actually checking into a hotel. Same one every time. Day 7, he got photos, her and some guy I'd never seen before, holding hands in the parking lot, kissing by his car, walking into the hotel together. Day 10, he identified the guy, her former college boyfriend, the one she'd dated for 4 years before me, the one who was just a friend she occasionally texted to catch up. I sat in my truck in my own driveway looking at those photos. 7 years. 7 years of building a life together, and she'd been sneaking off to a hotel with her ex. You know what hurt the most? I wasn't even surprised. Her mother was right. I shouldn't have expected loyalty. So, I stopped expecting it and I started planning. First off, thanks for all the comments on my last post. Some of you said I should confront her immediately. Others said to wait. I waited, and I'm glad I did. The Pi's final report came in last week. 14 days of surveillance, 8 confirmed hotel visits, multiple photos, timestamps, even some audio that I really wish I hadn't heard. But it's evidence, concrete, undeniable evidence. I met with my attorney 3 times over the past 2 weeks. Here's what I learned. My business is my separate property because I started it before the marriage. But, and this is important, she could potentially claim she contributed to its growth during our marriage. She didn't, but claims are cheap. Having proof of adultery weakens her credibility significantly. Our house is marital property. We bought it together 4 years ago. I put down 70% of the down payment, but that doesn't matter much legally. We'd have to sell or one of us buys the other out. She has no retirement savings. I have about $340,000 in mind. Marital property subject to division. This hurt to hear. There's no prenup. Yeah, I know. Stupid. I was 27 and in love. Sue me, my attorney's advice. File first. Control the narrative. Serve her somewhere that makes her understand this is serious, and she can't manipulate her way out. So, that's what I planned. But first, I needed to do some reconnaissance. I started paying closer attention to her schedule. Every Tuesday and Thursday she'd work late, like clockwork. She'd text me around 5 p.m., saying she had a deadline. Wouldn't be home until 9:00. I'd say, okay, love you. And she'd send back a heart emoji. Meanwhile, she was at a hotel with her ex. I also started noticing other things. She'd been unusually nice lately, cooking dinner more often, initiating intimacy more frequently. Classic guilt behavior. According to my attorney, they often overcompensate to throw you off. Her mom called once during this period. I overheard part of the conversation. Something about timing and making sure everything's ready. My wife said, I know, Mom. I'm handling it. That confirmed what I suspected. Mile wasn't just making snide comments. She was actively involved in whatever my wife was planning. Maybe helping her strategize. Maybe funding something. Either way, they were in this together. I decided to serve her on a Thursday at the hotel. Maximum impact. But before that, I had work to do. Step 1. Separate finances. We had a joint checking for household expenses, but our main accounts were separate. I quietly reduced my contributions to the joint account to the minimum needed for bills. Moved everything else to a new account at a different bank. Step 2. Secure my business records. Copied all financial documents, contracts, client lists, stored them at my buddy's house just in case. Step 3. Document everything. Every lie she told me with timestamps, every late night at work that was actually a hotel visit, every text where she said she loved me while actively betraying me. Step 4. Prepare emotionally. This was the hardest part. I had to act normal while knowing my marriage was over, sit across from her at dinner and smile while my chest felt hollow. Say, "I love you too." While looking at photos of her kissing another man, there were nights I almost broke, almost confronted her, almost asked why, but I didn't, because I knew the answer wouldn't matter. There's no explanation that makes this okay. The Thursday I chose was her birthday. Yeah, I know that sounds harsh, but here's the thing. She told me she had to work that night on her own birthday. Said her boss scheduled an emergency meeting that couldn't be moved. She was actually planning to celebrate with him. The PI confirmed it. They had dinner reservations at a nice restaurant before their usual hotel visit. I called the restaurant, made a reservation for one at a table near theirs. Then I called my attorney. Is this going to be a problem legally? As long as you don't cause a scene or assault anyone, you're fine. Dramatic, but fine. I wasn't planning to cause a scene. I was planning something much worse. I was planning to be calm. Thursday evening, her birthday, she left for work around 5:30 p.m. Kissed me goodbye, said she'd try to be home by 10:00. I waited 30 minutes. Then I put on a decent shirt, grabbed the envelope my attorney had prepared, and drove to the restaurant. They were already there when I arrived. Cozy corner booth. She was wearing a dress I bought her last Christmas. He was some finance type. Slicked hair, expensive watch, smug face. They were laughing about something, her hand on his arm. My table was about 20 feet away, close enough to see them, far enough that they didn't notice me initially. I ordered a drink, watched them. She looked happy, genuinely happy. The kind of happy I hadn't seen in our house in months. That's when it hit me. She wasn't conflicted about this, wasn't tortured by guilt. She was enjoying it. The deception was part of the thrill. They finished dinner around 8, started gathering their things. That's when I stood up and walked over. She saw me first. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might pass out. "Hey," I said, calm, almost friendly. "What?" "What are you doing here?" "Having dinner. Nice place. Good recommendation." I looked at him. "You must be the college ex. I've heard literally nothing about you, which in hindsight makes sense." He stood up trying to look authoritative. "Look, man, I don't know what you think. Sit down." I didn't raise my voice, didn't need to. "This isn't about you. You're just a symptom." He sat. I turned to my wife. She was crying now. "Please, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. I've had a pie following you for 3 weeks, 8 hotel visits, dinner dates, the whole thing." I pulled out my phone, showed her one of the photos. This was Tuesday. Nice dress, by the way. You were spying on me. Your mother told me not to expect loyalty. I took her advice and verified. My mother? What does she have to do with? Let's not pretend she wasn't helping you plan whatever exit strategy you two cooked up. I pulled the envelope from my jacket. Speaking of which, happy birthday. She opened it, read the first page, started sobbing harder. Divorce papers? You're serving me divorce papers on my birthday? You scheduled a date with your boyfriend on your birthday and told me you had to work. I figured you were already celebrating. The ex started standing again. This is insane. You can't just I can and I am. Feel free to have her. By the way, maybe you two will be happy. Though statistically, relationships that start with cheating don't end well. But hey, good luck. I left cash on my table for my drink, walked out, and drove home. My phone started blowing up within 15 minutes. Her mother, her sister. I answered none of them. Texted my attorney. Served. She came home around midnight. I was sitting in the living room waiting. The conversation that followed was exhausting. She tried everything. Denial. Those photos don't prove anything. Blame shifting. If you'd paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Minimization. It was just emotional. We barely did anything physical. Threats. I'll take everything. My lawyer will destroy you. Begging, please, I love you. I made a mistake. We can work through this. I just sat there. Let her cycle through all of it. When she finally ran out of steam, I said, "You can sleep in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, we need to discuss logistics. This is happening whether you accept it or not. You can't make me leave my house. Our attorneys will figure that out. But for tonight, guest room." She stormed off. I heard her on the phone with her mother until 3 a.m. Lots of crying, lots of "he won't listen" and "what do I do now?" Sorry for the delay on this update. It's been a lot. The divorce is finalized. It took about 10 weeks, which my attorney said was fast. Here's how it shook out. The house, we sold it, split the equity 50-50. I lost about $45,000 of my original down payment, but fighting it would have cost more in legal fees. Pick your battles. My business stayed mine. Her attorneys tried to argue she contributed by hosting client dinners occasionally. My attorney had records showing she attended exactly 4 such dinners in 7 years. Judge wasn't impressed. Retirement split 60-40 in my favor. The adultery evidence helped here. Judge noted that she'd been actively deceiving me while I was contributing to our joint future. Gave me a slightly better split as a result. Still lost about $80,000, but better than half. Alimony, none. She actually asked for 3 years of spousal support. My attorney presented the hotel receipts, the dinner reservations, the whole timeline. Judge asked her directly, "Were you actively planning to leave the marriage?" She couldn't answer. No alimony awarded. Total damage. I lost the house equity and a chunk of retirement, probably $125,000 total. It hurts. But it could have been much worse if I hadn't acted fast. Now, the good stuff. Her life fell apart pretty quickly after the divorce proceedings started. The ex-boyfriend disappeared within 2 weeks of the restaurant confrontation. Apparently, he was fine being the exciting affair partner, but had zero interest in being the official boyfriend of a woman going through a messy divorce. She moved back in with her parents. Her mother called me once about a month into the proceedings. I actually answered because I was curious. "You're destroying her life," she said. "No, hello. She destroyed the marriage. I'm just processing the paperwork. She made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You told me not to expect loyalty. I didn't. Why are you surprised I protected myself?" Long pause. That was a private conversation. Nothing's private when you're confessing to a genetic predisposition for infidelity. By the way, I should thank you. That heads up saved me months of confusion. I went straight to verification mode. You're twisting my words. Your exact words were, "Don't expect loyalty from my daughter." It runs in the family. I took that seriously. Apparently, I was the only one who should have. She hung up, never called again. The final court date was 2 weeks ago. Both of us had to be there for the final decree. She looked rough, lost weight. Not in a healthy way. Her mother and sister were there for support, sitting behind her like a pissed-off Greek chorus. Afterward, in the hallway, her mother approached me. First time we'd been face-to-face since Thanksgiving. "I hope you're satisfied," she said. I looked at her for a long moment. Then, I smiled. "Actually, I wanted to thank you. Excuse me, Thanksgiving, that little speech about loyalty running in the family. If you hadn't said that, I would have ignored the signs for months, maybe years." I would have kept trusting her while she drained our accounts and planned her exit. But you gave me a heads up. Probably didn't mean to, but you did. Her face went red. I was joking, were you? Because your daughter was already sleeping with her ex when you said it. Either you knew and were warning me off, or you knew and were rubbing it in. Either way, thanks. That conversation cost me $125,000 but saved me from losing everything. So, genuinely, thank you. I walked away. Heard her sputtering something to my ex-wife. Didn't look back. Here's where I'm at now. The business is doing well, actually better than before. Turns out stress spending on work is productive. Landed 3 new contracts this quarter. I'm in a small apartment. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Quiet. No one asking me why I'm home late or why I didn't text back fast enough. Dating? Not yet. Probably not for a while. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight, and I'm not interested in making someone else pay for my ex's choices. Therapy. Yeah, started that once a week. Mostly processing the anger. My therapist says I handled the practical stuff well, but buried the emotional stuff. She's probably right. My ex has texted twice since the divorce. First one was a long apology. I didn't respond. Second one was asking if we could talk like adults. I responded. We did in court. It's done. Blocked her after that. Her mother's apparently been telling everyone that I ruined her daughter's life through surveillance and entrapment. Which is hilarious because A, I didn't entrap anyone. She walked into that hotel voluntarily, and B, maybe don't cheat if you don't want to get caught. Some mutual friends took her side. Fine. They weren't really my friends anyway. They were her friends who tolerated me. The people who actually know me understood. My mom called after she heard through the grapevine, asked if I was okay. I said I would be. She said good and told me dinner was at her place Sunday. That's it. That's the whole story. No dramatic revenge. No public humiliation. Just a guy who listened when his ML accidentally told him the truth, verified it, and acted accordingly. She wanted excitement. She got it in the form of a divorce she didn't see coming. Her mother wanted to mock me for being boring and simple. That boring, simple guy outmaneuvered her precious daughter at every turn. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about paying attention. When someone shows you who they are or tells you who their family is, believe them. I did. And that belief, as painful as it was to act on, saved me from a much worse outcome. Thanks for following along. Time to close this chapter and move forward.